if there's any original entrepreneurs, it's four guys in a garage, big dreams, and musical instruments. And that's what we were. We were musical entrepreneurs.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou, and boy, do we have an exciting guest lined up for you today. Today's guest has found success as a member of the iconic band Hootie the Blowfish, and now he is a sought-after and in-demand public speaker. I am speaking, of course, of none other than the one, the only, the legendary Jim Sonefeld. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Glad to be here, Nikki. What a great day it is to be alive and holding a microphone.
Amen. Amen. So, brother, the folks who listen to this show are heart-driven entrepreneurs. They are the men and women that move the human race forward. And they come and listen to the show because they want to learn. They want to grow. And they want to learn not from me because I'm here every week. They want to learn from you. But before they can open themselves up to you, they got to get to know you. So tell us your backstory. How'd you get to be the great Jim Sonefeld?
My goodness. Blessed with two influential people I call mom and dad. We had a big family, 5 kids, and they never left us hungry or without opportunity to learn how to work and have a good work ethic, and they sheltered us. So yeah, they did great with us. We lived in the Midwest, and I loved sports. I loved music, and it all got a little more complicated around 14 when I discovered alcohol, and that wasn't like necessarily out of the norm for a little kid who's looking around for stuff, but it complicated my thoughts for many years to come. And so I kept on. I graduated high school in 4 years, went from Chicago, Illinois, all the way to the University of South Carolina with a soccer dream in 1983.
You were a soccer player.
Yeah, I wanted to, I ignored the invitations from Division II and III colleges in the Midwest. And I just punched up a little bit and said, I really want to play Division I. So I walked on the University of South Carolina Gamecock squad. The only player they took in 1983. I was proud, and I had a big job in front of me to find significance on that team, which I did over about a 4 to 5 year period. And
what position did you play?
I was a midfielder, so I could, I'm tall, I can jump, I'm good in the air, and I can run all day. Probably less foot skill than some of the guys that were coming over from England and Iceland as my teammates, but that was fine. I found a midfield position.
That's my favorite sport. I played, both my sons played. My 17-year-old still plays. My 19-year-old had a chance to go pro, but he turned it down. He decided to do something else, man. It's pretty wild. I love soccer. It's the sport of kings. I get to see Leo Messi play September 27th. So there you go.
It's the world sport for a reason. And growing up in America, as a soccer player wasn't exactly the norm. And I kind of cherished that I was a little unique, and I loved it for that. And so getting to South Carolina helped me forward that a few more years. And really, I wasn't good enough to go pro. And I had to reinvent my idea of what do I want to chase? What do I want to hope and dream for? And I turned it back towards music. And though I was only a drummer, I had helped myself by learning guitar and piano so I could understand what the songwriting process might look like. And I did that while I was in college, getting my degree and finishing up my soccer. So by the time my last year of school rolled around, I was starting to write songs. I was an accomplished drummer who could, be the guy there on the drum stool for a band, and they could rely on. And I met these 3 other guys, and they were losing their drummer who was going off in a different direction. And so I auditioned and brought in a few original songs, and they had this weirdo name called Hootie the Blowfish. I don't know if I liked it or didn't like it, but it was sure easy to remember. And
Yep.
it was maybe the first rule of thumb: catchy. People need to remember either you or your song, and they always remembered our name. So we started on the long journey of trying to make it in a business we were virtually unconnected to. And if there's any original entrepreneurs, it's four guys in a basement or a garage without a dollar to their name, but big dreams and musical instruments. And that's what we were. We were musical entrepreneurs. We had to figure out what entrepreneurship meant without the aid of the internet. And we had to do it quick. So we did it a little bit at a time. We juggled a few things around that we were good at. Four of us in the band, one of them with a business finance degree. He certainly helped us count our money, though it was only a little. We didn't waste it. He always had us stuffing some away in a savings account for new tires on a van that we just bought. We had a singer who was super talented. He knew what the music landscape looked like because he worked at a record store. That's Darius Rucker. We had a guitarist who had all the energy in the world to write music, and he was connected because he worked for a local TV station. So he knew a little bit about the mechanics of lights, camera, action. And for me, I had a degree in media arts, so I knew about some of those same TV, audio, video productions, and I was a songwriter. Mainly, we had a willingness to learn new ideas and work hard. And I think that was at the core of the beginning of us, is like, let's just go for it. We don't need $1 million. We don't need to be the biggest stars. We need to be willing to work hard and get better at that craft called songwriting and performance.
Yes. So tell us, what had you guys go from four guys with a big dream to an iconic, globally renowned rock band?
First, we had to answer some of those questions. As I said, we weren't connected to the music business, so we had to answer, well, how do we get connected? So we started saving our money, making some recordings, which in the early 90s was going into a studio that cost real money. So we had to save for that. And we were willing to seek something even further, which was the truth, which not a lot of artists and creators naturally have a great leaning towards the truth. We dream, we hope, we have these incredible visions, but if we can't get accurate information about where we are, it's trouble. And we asked a producer after we made our first collection of music, and we thought we were well along the way. And this is where the truth was so important. We thought we were like minutes from getting signed to a record deal and getting on TV and having the world at our disposal. And we asked him, "Where are we, man?" And he said, "Well, here's where you are. There's a great superhighway in the world of music, and I have no doubt you'll get there one day. There's big fast roads. There's little byways to get there. There's on-ramps. Then there's little avenues. And even we were at the time in this little house we were sitting in. He said, even, the little street out front that is in front of the driveway, in front of the house, in front of the kitchen that you're sitting in right now, there's a whole pathway." And we were excited thinking, yeah, tell us we're on that, on-ramp at least. And he said, "And you guys are sitting in the kitchen looking for your car keys." And we were devastated, but it's the best thing we needed, the truth. And so we got the truth, and we went on to work hard. He said, "Keep writing music, keep performing, maybe keep understanding what it feels like to fail or come up short." So we got more connected with the business by booking more gigs. We didn't have an agent, so we booked them ourselves. We didn't have a manager, and we had to find one, but until then, we'd manage ourselves. We did indeed find both of those things, eventually a booking agent and a manager. We asked for the truth from another important person, an accountant, which, again, most artists, not great bean counters naturally.
Nope.
But we had someone who would tell us, "Hey, you need to put a little bit away for taxes, even though you guys are pretty much on the poverty line for how much money you're making. And you need to put some money away for flat tires, for new transmissions. You got to pay rent in your apartment. So this accountant woman named Lynn Richards did this for us, and we accepted our plight. We accepted the truth was we were way down on the totem pole, but we could get up if we worked a little bit at a time. The other person we sought truth from was an attorney, and he warned us, don't sign dumb contracts. We didn't have any money to even pay him, but he was willing to give us some great advice, slowly, and look over simple contracts, and always run it by an attorney first. And so these truths became the foundation of our little musical entrepreneurship. And we just kept going. And 89 became 90, 1990 became 91, 92, 93. We were still growing, playing bigger clubs. And eventually Atlantic Records took notice and said, hey, these guys seem to have it all together. They sell t-shirts, they sell their music out of the van, they're incorporated, they've done some things for themselves, they have a little manager, and we were ready to be signed. And Atlantic Records signed this little baby band, and Atlantic had done big things. You know, they'd broken, Aretha Franklin, Led Zeppelin, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They were one of the biggest labels around, which wasn't necessarily the best thing because we wanted to be a priority at a business. So we signed with them anyway. And to answer your question fully, luck happened. Eventually luck happened for Hootie the Blowfish, not the random kind of inconsequential luck, but where preparation meets opportunity. That was what was written on my high school gym wall. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. We had worked our butts off for 5 years or more. And then luck happened when this late night TV host called David Letterman heard one of our songs on the radio. And he said, let's get that band on my TV show. And suddenly, instead of playing clubs with 4 or 5 or 6 or 700 people in it, we were playing our 3.5-minute song in front of 5 million TV viewers on a Friday night.
Damn.
And that's what you call luck, preparation and opportunity coming together at the same time. Not every band has the luck of good timing, but we certainly did. And that changed our pathway forever. We ended up, suddenly radio stations decided to play us. Suddenly fans that never would have heard us from Canada to Michigan to California, we'd never been to those places. Suddenly our little song called Hold My Hand was on the radio and in their ears. So it allowed us to tour further. It allowed record sales to pep up. And suddenly we were on our way. That was 94 became the summer of Hootie the Blowfish in 95, which became millions of records sold. And still we were slight entrepreneurs. Honestly, we needed more people to answer more of the questions we were unable to even see coming at us. What do you do with royalty money? What do you do when you have money that you've never had before? That was our main problems. We'd never had money. We were kids that grew up in pretty humble families, and you need people around you to answer questions you can't answer yourself.
You know, those are good questions to ask. What do you do when you come into success at a very high level more quickly than you expect? And I think those are good questions to get some answers from you about. What do you do if success comes at you quite rapidly over a short period of time? I mean, you may have worked for years to get yourself and put yourself in that position, but if all of a sudden within a year or two, you're bringing in the kind of money that you've always dreamed of but never had before, how do you handle it?
Yeah, well, it's a good time to already have something foundational working, right? It's hard to reinvent oneself all of the sudden and find like reliable friends or honest people that you're paying, you know, accountants, lawyers, producers, record company people. It's good to build those people in your life along the way.
Yes.
And also maybe a failure of some artists. They dream big and they're small. And by the time they get a big break, they realize I don't have anyone around me to help prop this thing up. And we did. We were lucky. We had been through signing a bad record deal before. So we had a little bit of experience about, there are some scoundrels out there.
There are.
We had reliable accountants. We'd kept up with our taxes. And on a personal level, though, we were fairly immature young men in our mid-20s or late 20s by the time we got signed. We hadn't made decisions that altered or changed our lives. And I don't even have to mention what those are. Sometimes they're moral, sometimes they're lawful or legal things. And we just stayed on the right side of those. So we were in pretty good shape to face fame, but fame has a weight. There are burdens, no doubt. It's for people who, in the band world anyway, have to travel or get to travel, depending on how you look at it. So if you've got a family at home, that can be a problem. None of us had really started families, so we were more free to go travel. But facing it, my goodness, it's good to have friends that are reliable and business partners who are already reliable. And we had enough of those to sustain us. Still, money, God, if you've never had it, it can be bad. And so we made some modest investments. I bought a piano as my first, special thing I'd ever bought for myself. It cost $10,000, which was a lot back then. I bought a home so I could start building some value.
That's good.
Everyone in the band was told by our accountant, guys, I have some good news and bad news. The good news is you have some money in your bank for the first time in your lives ever. The bad news is you need to go buy something that can build equity. And none of us had any experience with buying a
equity?
House.
What's equity?
Yeah. What's equity? Exactly. This word has got too many syllables. So we ended up making some good decisions and some bad ones. I made some bad investments along the way that hurt me, and most of them were immature. And you ever hear an investment that sounds too good to be true? It probably is.
Probably.
And that's what I learned a couple times. It's nothing. It can be too good to be true. It's called a hoax or a gimmick or too risky. And so we went forward. Everybody, gosh, when we got our first checks, I was still, our bass player and our singer lived together. They shared a house. We were still like roommates and hanging out and living in crappy little apartments. And so you learn to manage. And the main thing is to take it slowly. Nobody needs to jump from a used vehicle into a $150,000 Maserati, in my opinion. That's too big of a jump. We take one step at a time, and you can build greatness in your life when you do that. And so we did a little bit at a time. We built something that would last forever. Now it's 36 years later, and we still get to be in the music business as a result of taking it slow and taking it one step at a time, not trying to jump into something that's too big.
What you gentlemen created was spectacular, iconic. And what I do, Jim, for my living, like the podcast is something that's helps me create branding and visibility for myself as someone who interviews and knows a lot of top level thought leaders. But what I do for a living is I help thought leaders and aspiring thought leaders take what they already know, their expertise, and turn that into a leverageable offering in the world that allows them to make the difference, the type of difference they were born to make, but B, allows them also to make some money. And I'm listening to you and I'm going, wow, these stories are incredible. How cool would it be if Jim put a program together teaching aspiring, for want of a better term, rock stars, how to step by step become a rock star? Now, maybe you will, or maybe you won't achieve that lifestyle or level of fame and money, but you could teach these folks what mistakes to avoid at a level that nobody else can, because Jim Sonefeld, you actually did it. You actually did it. You could break that down step by step. And I bet you if you wrote a book about that, How to Become a Rock Star by Jim Sonefeld, Hootie and the Blowfish, that book would do really well. I bet you that if you put a series of talks out on social media and YouTube, that did really, really well, would do really, really well. And I bet you that there'd be people that would sign up for courses, one-on-one coaching and things like that. And the beauty of that, from my point of view, is I think you'd help a lot of good people, good musicians, do a lot better than they otherwise would. You know what I mean? Who knows how big they're going to get, but they'll do better with your knowledge than they would without it, right? And that's a good thing. You're adding to the sum total of goodness in the world. And B, I think that'd be a whole new kind of level of, career excellence for Jim Sonefeld to do something like
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Please go ahead and comment. Jim, I'm also, while you're doing that, I'm going to let in as my special guest host for a few minutes, my sweetheart, who I've been meaning to introduce to you for reasons we've talked about outside. So she's going to come on and ask you a few questions, but please comment. Go ahead.
yeah. And I'll say in that transition that, it's a hard group, the creators. We are great at, for sure, one thing, creating, whether you're an artist or a musician or maybe even an entrepreneur, but creating is only a smidge of it, and in the arts, especially, there's not a lot of books that sort of list and give you specific directions on how to make it.
None. There's none.
And I'm not sure that they even exist because the arts is so malleable and ever changing, and it's at the whim of the creator often. And
Sure.
so it's been funny. There are more music management courses popping up at the collegiate level, or how to the business side of music, which is
the business of
right?
being a rock star. Instead of the creation, like the business of being a rock star. That's what's cool about it, right? Jim, I want to introduce you to my sweet beloved. Isn't she fabulously beautiful? This is Teresa Douglas.
Hi, nice to meet you. Very
Good
nice
to see you. Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yes. I heard that Nikki was interviewing you and so forth, and so what an honor, really is.
I've been introduced to a new group of people over the past 4 or 5 months. Nikki's one of those people, and it's exciting to see people that are at the forefront of managing ideas and managing creativity and focusing it to benefit not only the creator but an audience in front of that person. So I've just found it so exciting to start a lot more of these conversations. I go out and speak, and I have a couple different lanes I speak in. It can be people who are seeking either spiritual or recovery, or recovery from chemical dependency, into more of the corporate middle. But it all includes entrepreneurship, new thinking, giving up some old ideas, and getting honest with that, and moving into some new ideas. I had a challenge in the middle of my life. I was 40 and I was facing the biggest challenge of my life, realizing I couldn't use alcohol like a normal person could. And I had to face a overhaul of my mentality, which was lagging far behind in maturity and good, healthy ideas that would form good relationships. So 20 years past that now, but some of those foundational ideas still ring true. And I just like to go out and share those with whoever's listening.
Well, I wanted Teresa to meet you because Teresa has, as I mentioned to you, some contacts here in Toronto with a group that hires speakers. And I think it'd be really great for her to get to know you a little bit right now on the podcast interview, but then speak with you offline. I'll connect you guys by text. And she's gonna, in the next few weeks, I think, meet with these folks. So it'd be an opportunity to present you as a potential speaker. But I think I mentioned to you, Teresa also does some acting and singing herself, and she's good friends with Dan Hill, of Sometimes When We Touch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's also a songwriter as well. So
and Andy Kim also I'm meeting with from Sugar.
Yeah.
Honey, honey.
Wow, that's so great.
Well, actually, it's interesting because when you were saying about the alcohol and so forth, and substance, one of the things that I've witnessed is mental health is of course a big area. It's probably the biggest area where we have a lot of challenges, and in the creative space, there can be real challenges around the mental health component, because there's this mind that's being so creative that doesn't necessarily fit into the standardized world that we need to sit and work through. Because I know this because I worked in psychology for many years, and I used to do psychological testing. And I was testing children who were, or adults who were labeled learning disabilities and all that sort of thing. And what I noticed is that because everything was standardized, if you didn't fit into a box, then you were labeled something on the outside. And of course, then there was bugs and all of that went with that. And so when you said that, that's a real missing in the industry, in my view, that we've got all these musicians, creative people, and the mental health support, or even just because there's a stigma attached to it still to some degree, it's not there that's evident for people to get the resources. And you want to also protect your reputation and all of that stuff too. So I'm looking at creating an event, which I can talk to you more about also myself, with Dan and Andy. That's why I'm meeting with them around a whole mental health component and music. But music from a certain time period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I found in my speaking, and obviously if you're a performer or songwriter, the power of including music and message is very impactful. And it wasn't until more recently that I figured out in my personal story, talking about the principles that my band used to get into the business. And then when my life started falling apart, the principles that were important for that recovery, they're enhanced by some of the music that I've made through the years. Because even the oldest songs that Hootie the Blowfish had a hit with, one of them was called Hold My Hand, which is about you're either one of two people at any time in your life. You might need the help of someone, so you got to reach up, or you are able to reach down and help other people up. And that song centers around the frustration I had as a young man, seeing that we weren't doing that very well in our lives. And so I've used some of the music of Hootie the Blowfish that I was writing for the band to enhance some of the messaging I do on stage that is more principally based. And it's been very powerful. Some of them are the recovery groups that need to be encouraged and inspired, and also like a certain style of message musically. And even the entrepreneurs seem to appreciate the Hootie story for that side of it. And when they find out the stories behind how we created songs and how we created the whole album called Cracked Review in '94 that was so important for our careers, it's a powerful moment. So I love the mixture of music and message because I find it is like I don't know, maybe like an athlete taking steroids. It just makes it without all the side effects that are bad.
Why don't you tell us the story of how that album came to be? I think that'd be a cool story.
Well, part of it was we did a little bit of the principle work that I was speaking of earlier, where we were willing to find honest truths about our careers and where we were, the quality of our music, and where we were trying to get when we didn't really have many people around us. And we worked in those truths for probably 5 years. We played little parties that gave us money to fund studio time, to record the songs we'd been writing, and then we could sell them at the shows along with the t-shirts that we were creating. So we had a little business industry going all on our own, and we just plugged away a little bit at a time for about 5 to 6 years, where we were very focused and we were patient. We had some bad offers. We made a few bad mistakes, none of them that fully derailed the movement. But when we finally got a record deal, we became willing to work really hard. And we were one of the hardest working bands. We played hundreds of shows every year. We took every opportunity for media. We were nice to people, which really benefited us well down the road. And when we had rose and rose, and then it started coming down, as often happens in a career like that, we managed to stick together and make the most out of playing a lot of corporate shows that were paying us well when we couldn't sell 15,000 tickets to an arena. And so we rode the hard times with all the love and compassion for each other that we did the times when we were on the top. And so that sort of patience and tolerance for good times and bad times was really important for us as a band. And even as a couple of our lives started falling apart, we always knew we got to keep this band together. That's our paycheck. It's our the thing we need. And we did. And we had a dormancy of almost 10 years where we only played 3 shows a year, and those 3 shows were to fund the Hootie the Blowfish Foundation so we could support charities in South Carolina. And while you're not out there trying to be significant, or rather be successful again in business, we were trying to be significant on a smaller level here in South Carolina. And that kept us afloat while our country lead singer, Darius Rucker, had a really great trajectory in the country business. So he kept us along floating while we were taking care of charities. And then in 2019, against really all numbers and logic, we decided to go try and do a major tour again. And it was like it was 1995 again. We sold 15, 20,000 seats a night across America.
Wow.
50 shows in the summer of 2019. We did it again in 2024 with the same response. And
awesome, bro.
Yeah, it's about being patient and, like I said, also a little lucky, preparation, meeting opportunity with an ounce of patience and a heavy dose of, self-honesty, knowing where you are in your career so you don't start thinking you're something that you're not. Mm-hmm. And so obviously when I lost all my beautiful long blonde rock and roll hair, I was willing to confront that honestly.
Don't get jealous of Teresa with her long blonde beautiful hair.
There's lots of wigs out there if you ever want to try one. I've got lots of wigs from a lot of theater productions.
Right. I've had people tell me that. You need to be that. We want the 90s Jim, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not coming back, sadly.
Make AI Jim. We can make AI 90s Jim. Oh my God.
Not today. Ask me tomorrow again, maybe.
Yeah, I'm Persian, right? And one of our most famous Iranian singers is a man named Vigen, and he passed away. And I love Vigen because he was a beautiful singer. He was a Christian, which is unusual in Iran, and he looked like my father. He same hairstyle, Teresa, and the whole bit. So today I saw an AI Vigen song, like one of his old songs, but with like an AI person singing it. And I was like, yeah, man. And he's, they made a little music video of him walking in 1970s Iran and doing the song. And it was it was a little disconcerting, but it was also quite beautiful. It was incredible to see all that. I think we can be scared of AI, or we can learn how to embrace it and make the best of it. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
It's an incredible technology that in the hands of the wrong people is like any other great technology.
Yeah.
It's great until people get their hands on it.
There was this, one of the movies I loved when I was a kid was Shane. It's an old Western. Yeah. And, Alan Ladd played the title character, and in it he was talking about guns. And he says, "I hate guns," and he says, "Don't hate the gun, son. Gun's just a tool. It's only as good or as bad as the man who wields it." And I thought, oh, that was pretty profound, man. So if a guy who wields it's a good guy, it's a great thing. If a guy who wields it's a bad guy, not so great. And I guess AI is the same.
Mm-hmm. I still think that AI requires that human component, because it's the experience is always, I find, to be essential in building your business. It's just connecting with people. Now, some people will just be transactional, and that's great. That's when AI works great, if it's just transactional. But when you really want that personal human experience, that requires someone to interact at a level of being able to really connect emotionally, where AI would not be that particular. At this point, I don't see it connecting at that level. I know there's some apps out there, or not apps, AI tools out there for relationships and so forth. However, it's still not a human component. And I always believe, regardless of how advanced we are with technology, it's the human touch, and that's the heart and soul of the human touch. And AI doesn't have a heart and soul. It has the ability to have a fabulous mind, but it doesn't have a heart and soul.
I'm finishing reading a book. It's about soccer, and it's about big teams using data-driven, probably AI mechanisms to collect information about different players, but it can only be as good, and this is the ending of the book, is though it's an amazing amount of information, it's only as good as combining with real scouts who are meeting people, who are going to see a person play in person, to see the delicate and human things that AI currently and probably never will be able to accommodate for. But it can be a great combination. We can have AI can create some amazing things. And in sports, data-driven teams are thriving when they are combined with scouts, real human scouts that go to meet people, because it's not just about any numbers. They can tell us certain things, but they can't tell us everything.
Damn, Jim. I so love that you love soccer, because that's one of my favorite things. And we talked about like Inter Miami's coming to play TFC in Toronto. I've got an extra ticket for you if you want it. So
I know you mentioned that. My September's looking rather dogged, but there could be. You mentioned it's at the end of the month.
well, let me know.
Believe me, I'd spend a great amount of time enthused to watch soccer. One of my oldest memories was actually watching a league that may have preceded you, Nikki. I'm not sure, but it was called the NASL, North American Soccer League. And one of the teams that came to play our Chicago Sting was called Toronto Metro Croatia. Which
Toronto Metro Croatia, absolutely.
Interesting tie-in. And I remember thinking, what is that name? I was used to, teams like New York Yankees or the Washington. This was like a new name for me, the Toronto Metro Croatia.
So,
I make up for a lot of lost time with modern times watching soccer. I'm mostly excited for planning for next year's World Cup.
Listen, let's talk offline and let's see if we can score some tickets together. I'd love to go see some games with you. That'd be fun. My younger son, he's a Chelsea fan, and I'm looking to see if I can get some tickets at the end of the year to fly to London between Christmas and New Year and go see a couple games there with him. It'd be fun. He wants to see Chelsea Man City. That should be a good game.
Yeah, my gosh, going over there to watch games in their stadiums is really, really special. If you've never done it, it's
never done it in the UK. I did it. I lived in Greece for 2 years, so I saw some, basically the Greek version of the Premier League. I saw some games there. Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, which were the top level Greek teams, and that was a lot of fun. And I'm a season ticket holder of TFC, so I get to see a bunch of their games. That's a lot of fun. But the UK, man, that would be a bucket list thing to go do it with my son too. Just super, super excited about it.
Yeah, it's more accessible than it ever has been with ticketing and packages. We worked last year. I brought my 21-year-old son and my 24-year-old daughter over to see the team we watch, Liverpool, play in Anfield against Arsenal.
Nice. That's beautiful. That's spectacular. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, crazy. You'll get over there, I'm sure. That's going to be great.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Anyways, sweetheart, you got any final questions to ask Jim, or any final comments?
I'm curious, at this point, are you performing at all?
I am. I do a variety of things. So my memoir was published in 2022 by Diversion Books, and it's sort of what we've been talking about, the journey through growing up and music and soccer and failure and the truth, and then where we land in 2019. And the book taught me, as I was going out to promote it at bookstores where I'd never been in that lane before, it taught me that the story was different than I thought prior to writing the book. I had mostly only talked to recovery rooms, and I realized that people do, there's a journey that is common to a lot of people in general terms. And so I also realized I can add music to it to help tell the story. So I have been going out still to recovery groups. One group I talk to is called Celebrate Recovery. It's a specific Christian-based 12-step model. There's basic 12-step models as well. I do a lot of work with mental health. I spoke to a nice big group here in South Carolina last Sunday that was a mixed group of people who have been affected by mental health. And it's crazy. There was people from all over, people who were maybe married to an alcoholic who's in recovery. Maybe they had a son who had struggles that they're dealing with, people who had lost family members who have taken their own lives. So it's a big field, as you mentioned, Teresa, that really has people who need inspiration. They need a little guidance and encouragement. And so I go out and I speak to those groups as well. And sometimes just a straight up corporate audience loves a story. And I think one thing I bring to it is the ability to laugh a little bit, especially when it's a topical matter that's serious or real businessy. People want to connect and they want to laugh and be light. And so I offer that when I speak and when I sing, to tell people, hey, even my life as a big rock star or a recoverer or anything, we're supposed to have a little fun in life. It's not
Amen.
disallowed. And sometimes people need to be told that, or at least engaged and shown that. So I do like to have my audiences laughing a little bit too. So,
Honey, I got a feeling our friend Shai would love to meet Jim and potentially hire him to speak for them. I got a feeling he'd love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
So, Jim, you and Teresa should definitely speak offline. She's probably gonna be able to get you a gig here in Toronto that'll be decent pay. And I just went on Amazon and I grabbed your book.
Oh, great. It's an easy read.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can order a bunch of copies and then maybe get you to get some author plates and sign them and send the author plates to us, and we'll stick them in the book, because we got some clients that we give books to. So if you'd be willing to do that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I've done that before and recognize the value of getting those autographed copies to important, influential people.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah. So, Jim, where do we send people, man? Like, where do you want to send people to go and interact with your stuff right now? You want them to go get the book? What do you want them to do?
I think the best one-stop shopping place to see the different things I do is my new jimsonefeld.com website. It'll lead you into being an author, what that looks like in my book, some of my music, and some of my speaking as well. And you can see all those things and get linked up to where those go. The other, maybe more active place is my Facebook page, which I've got a lot of followers on there that get to see some of the things I'm involved with currently, some of the gigs I do, some of the music that inspires me, my dogs, Liverpool soccer. There's a variety of things that are more fluid in my current life on my Facebook page. Same with Instagram. Sony Times 64 is my handle there. So these are all places you can go to see what I'm up to now, and also reach out to find me.
Yeah, let's make sure that we're going to put all that in the show notes. Of my podcast producer will do that. I just connected you and Teresa by text, so you guys can chat offline and get all that sorted out. She'll be your Toronto speaking agent. Try to get you some gigs here in TO. And Jim, we like to end off each episode that we do by asking you, our guest expert, what are your top 3, what I like to call expert action steps? These are your 3 best pieces of life or success advice that you want my listener to take on. What say you?
Got to find the truth. And that goes on a couple different levels. We've got our moral truth and that compass, but also truths about our business, about our aspirations, about our bank books. We've got to live in reality. And a lot of people, it's easy to live outside the lines and tell ourselves things that we want to be true. We want to all put that best version of ourselves out there. I want you to see the shiny Jim Sonefeld. I want you to see all my virtues, and I don't want you to see all the warts and failures and limitations and weaknesses. But as individuals, we need to work in the truth. It's the only thing that'll help us in the long run. So find the truth about your life, your business, and your heart and your aspirations. 2, I would say, don't be afraid to fail. We're highly imperfect beings. And if we think that our business lives or our love lives are somehow going to be different than that, we're probably shooting too high. It's okay to come up a little short. It's important to learn the word "I'm sorry," or "Can you get me out of jail?" If you're really,
can you get me out of jail? That's good.
We fail. And especially for the young kids out there, I think they have a bigger struggle with that. I think social media has us comparing ourselves to all these perfect looking lives, and none of them are. So it's okay to come up a little short. And I think lastly, I'd say you got to get right and be right with 3 different things. Yourself, know who you are. Look at your life. Look at the past. Look at your actions today. Know who you are. You got to be right with yourself. You got to be right with those around you. You have to have healthy relationships that are built on honest trust and faith. So get right with yourself, those around you, and your God, no matter what you call your God. I'm not here to tell anybody who their God should be, but there's a spirit and an understanding that I think we need to relate to. And even if your power, if you want to call it a power, is a group around you that's teaching you and loving you and encouraging you and being honest themselves, that's okay too. Not my job to find your God, but get right with yourself, those around you, and God. There's nothing else. It's only those 3 things that we get to have here, right? We got to walk down here on earth, and it's hard sometimes. So we need honest truth, and we need to have healthy relationships. And I think we need power. And that's what God is for.
Amen, man. Amen. God bless you, brother, for 3 awesome expert action steps. Listener, Jim Sonefeld, an icon, a legend, a good man. And go check out his website, get a copy of his book, go download some Hootie and the Blowfish music from from Apple. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It truly is. Just learn from what this real, raw, and authentic man has to share, because it will make your life better. Sweetheart, any last things you want to say?
Well, I just really want to say thank you for adding so much value with taking your creativity and your life experience and making an impact on so many lives with the work that you're doing and putting the message you're putting out there and the music that you put out there as well. And to me, you're a light warrior, and the more light warriors we have, the greater this world will be. So thank you.
Amen.
Thank you both.
Amen. Beautifully put. And that wraps up another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. To find out more about today's amazing guest, the one and only Jim Sonefeld, check out the show notes at thethoughtleaderrevolution.com or wherever you happen to listen to this episode, be it iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, Rumble, or what have you. Until next time, goodbye.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.